to come together and discuss. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the EuroGEO Agriculture Action Group session. And I would like to ask from the technician to present the first presentation and give me the ability to change the slides from here. So before we start with the presentations, just to setting the stage, the session will last 1.5 hours. We do have 7 presentations, 7 presenters. 4 of them, they have physical presence. 3 of them will be online. So it will be a bit difficult and challenging session. We will see how we will manage it. I believe that everything will go okay. And for each presenter, we have allocated 8 minutes time with 2 minutes of question and answers. At the end of the presentations, we will have a round table that was in the program, but we decided to make it an open discussion with not only with the presenters, but with all of you, and to see which will be the next steps for the Agriculture Action Group. Of course, the title for this session is Harnessing Earth Observation for Sustainable Agriculture, Challenges, Opportunities, and the Path Forward. I am Stelios Kotsopoulos. I am the chairman of this action group. And the objectives of this session is to assess the long-term impact of the EU Agri projects, highlight successes, challenges, and lessons learned, explore innovative ways of funding mechanisms and partnership models, and see which will be the next steps for the Agriculture Action Group. Yesterday, we had a discussion, an open brainstorming discussion. And the good thing it was that this session, it was infused with not only with people coming from the agricultural sector, but also with people coming from other sectors working with Earth observation data, and we exchange some, let's say, experiences, also the challenges that they faced in similar projects, but in different sectors. And we conclude that one, let's say, the most important part is how to engage users, how we are making our services user-centric, because there is the academia, the scientific world, also the technicians, and there is also the actual users. And sometimes we need to find how to meet these requirements between these 3 different groups. So we highlighted the importance of co-designing with end users for accurate data and see how to build a nice calibration validation framework for these services. Something that it was very important, it was the need for collaboration between different sectors to make an interoperability of skills, not only for data and technologies, in order to share our results and experience and making our project more resilient and our services better for the final user. We also talked about the data challenges and technological challenges that we all faced, and how at the end, although there is a plethora of data in our time, how we can make this data useful at the end for the user in order for them also to pay for these services and make it sustainable. For this session is to see some examples of projects that they are considered as success stories. Success stories because they have already used Earth observation data and have already developed services that they are selling to the market. So we do have different sectors from the agricultural sector. So the first presentation from space to field using Earth observation data to climate crisis in agriculture. It will be presented by Dr. Dimitrios Kateris, and it will present some results from the Stargate H 2020 project. And it will actually present how the Earth observation data are used for climate-smart agriculture. The second presentation is from Anna Osan, Dr. Anna Osan, coordinator of Diana, Koala, and also Rexus project. And she will talk about the EU-based water management in agriculture from innovation to practice. So how through all these projects, all these years, they develop some commercial services based on Earth observation. The third presentation, although it says that it will be presented by Dr. Juan Suarez Beltran, it will be presented by Jesus Ortuno Castillo, who will actually give some examples, successful examples of how to use Earth observation data for international development in the Global South. Then we will proceed with Mr. Gregory Migdakos from Karavias in Greece, underwriting agency, that it will present how they are using services for the agricultural and insurance sector developed through the H2020 project called Beacon. The next presentation, it will be for Apollo, a project that actually it developed some commercial services for the farming sector, and it will be presented by Ms. Dimitra Perperidou. The other presentation is dealing with a hot topic, soil health and earth observation, and it will be present some results from the CU Soil H2020 project, and it will be presented from the assistant professor Dr. Irini Pandazi. And the last, but not least, presentation, it will be made by the National Paying Agency of Lithuania, where they are give us the examples, tangible examples of how they are using and how they have incorporated Earth observation data in their operational activities of their organization. Finally, we will close the session with a round table. That it was what the program said, but I think that we have discussed everything about the sustainability. So the last 15 minutes, it will be dedicated to an open discussion of what will be the next steps and the strategy for the next year for the Agriculture Action Group. So let's begin from our first presenter, Dr. Dimitrios Kateris from IBOSERT.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Stelios. I will...
You do have 8 minutes, Dimitrios. If you exceed this threshold, I will catch you politely. I will catch you at the end.
Give me some seconds in order to share my screen. How's the problems? Can you see my screen? No.
No.
Give me a second. Now?
Yes, you can start.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, good morning from my side. My name is Dimitrios Kateris. I am a senior researcher at the Institute of Bioeconomy and Agritechnology of CERT. And I will discuss with you about the using of Earth observation data to combat climate crisis in agriculture. Next slide. Well, I think it's useful to say some words about the climate smart agriculture. It's the agricultural strategies to secure sustainable food safety under climate change. The CSA has 3 pillars. Of course, the productivity, the adaptation, and the mitigation. The Earth observation data is playing a crucial role in promoting climate-smart agriculture by providing valuable information to farmers, researchers, and policymakers. Here you can see some crucial examples for how Earth observation data is assisting CSA. As you can see, the first one is the crop monitoring and yield prediction. This data helps in monitoring crop conditions and predicting yields, enabling farmers to make informed decisions on irrigation, fertilization, and harvesting. The second one is the broad monitoring and water management. The third is pest and disease surveillance. This one is it's about early warning systems based on this data, allow farmers to take preventive measures, reducing the use of pesticides and minimizing crop losses. The fourth one is the climate risk assessment, the soil health assessment, of course, the precision agriculture. This approach enables farmers to apply the right amount of inputs at the right time and place, reducing costs and environmental impacts. The next one is the insurance and financial services. Of course, the supply chain and market access, land use planning and sustainable development. And the final one is the research and policy development. All these examples illustrate the diverse applications of Earth observation data in supporting CSA and addressing the challenges posed by climate change to agricultural sustainability and food safety. Some of these examples are, we have some of them at our project. In our project, the project is the Stargate project. It's a Horizon project. As you can see, the consortium, in this project, we have 27 partners, 26 from Europe and 1 from Israel. The budget is it's approximately 5 million euros. And we have 16 pilots in 6 different countries. Well, here you can see the Stargate objectives. I can say that the project is based on Earth observation, weather intelligence, and IoT technologies. It supports effective farm management and related options for adaptation to climatic changes, local and regional policy formulation, leading to better landscape management. The project implements the Living Lab approach by connecting the research organizations, policy-making organizations, ICT companies, farmers, and other stakeholders to shape a CSA multi-actor regional framework. Finally, it provides innovative components for the realization of big data with an emphasis of geospatial visualization and dynamic charting. Here you can see the Stargate data sources from different sources. And of course, we have developed sub-weather services. The first one is about the medium range weather forecast. As you can see, the farmer can take information about the precipitation, about the temperature, about the wind speed. We have weather services. We have the data providers who gave us all the data we want in order to make the medium range multi-model ensemble weather forecast. Of course, we have, except the weather services, we have the climate services. and we have developed sub-seasonal and seasonal forecasting. We have the data providers in order to feed the Bayesian models for the sub-seasonal and seasonal forecasting.
Dimitri, sorry for interrupting you. You have only 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
I have a few slides. No, it's okay for me. Okay, thank you. We have developed a platform which give useful information to farmers and agricultural consultants. We take information from the Earth, data from Earth observation and meteorological data in order to make some tools to give useful information from tillage, planting and seeding, fertilizing, spraying, irrigation, and harvesting. We developed a decision support system. We collect some indicators about the soil, the water, the topographic, and etc., in order to make a database from crop and land use sustainability. And finally, the planting and we make a strategic climate smart land use planting and management in order to give all the useful information to the end users in order to make your productivity bigger. And finally, the last slide. As my friend Stelios said, it's time to focus on the people, not on the technology. I think I agree with this. And I think it's time to see the needs of the end users, and from our side to give them all the necessary tools in order to make their productivity higher. That's from my side.
Thank you, Dimitrios.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. We have time for one question, either from the audience here or from someone from those that they are participating virtually. Any question from the audience? And if there is no question from the online, so I think Dr. Osan, you can come up and start your presentation.
Good morning. First part of technology result. Yeah. Yes. It's interesting. We talk about satellites and a lot of technology, and then sometimes it's the simple things that do or do not work. So actually I'm getting oriented here. So I did my homework and put the title on the template, but here's also a quick list of things that I will be touched upon. And very important, the most important word in the title is the last one, practice. And I'll show you 3 different examples at 3 different skills of agricultural water management. And in the line below, you see many, many projects which we are drawing from and have been drawing from. First of all, let me tell you a story. It's a long story, but you only get the short version. Once upon a time, there was an aquifer in the southeast of Spain. People living there happily because they had water underneath and they were pulling up the water and were fertilizing and irrigating their crops and harvesting their crops. And they were pulling more and more water. And what happened? Well, the water table was going down, 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 down. At some point, the central government in Madrid got the alert, and they said, enough is enough. You're not going to pull any further drop of water from this aquifer. Oh my, said the farmers, what do we do? It is, and well, it was and it still is, a big aquifer. 10,000, more than 10,000 wells, and a lot of people living there, but hardly any rain. So the situation was actually desperate. But then farmers did not want to give up. They were organizing, self-organizing. We're talking to the university, and we've actually had already started to develop algorithms to get information from the satellites. So that was when we started almost 30 years ago. It was in 1995 when the first tools for groundwater management and governance were developed. And I'm trying now if I can. Yeah, so you see the aquifer levels here, and you see the years here. So with time, the technology managed to bring the groundwater table up again. And it happened because the information had become available. And the information in a community organizing process has been shared, which created transparency. So these three things together are really crucial. And that was when, well, people, this is the Irrigation District Board of La Mancha Oriental. They have, each year in November, there is an assembly where the annual cultivation plan is decided based on EO information. And they all decide together. So it's a collective management. And so that was when in 96, the project ERMOT was born. This project, it's not an EU-funded project. It is a, let's say, local regional project. The farmers gave a third of the money. The River Basin Authority gave another third, and the regional government of Castilla-La Mancha gave the final third. So it was actually auto-financed between farmers and public administration. And the farmers, they founded the Junta Central de Regantes. And this model of groundwater management, groundwater governance, has become known as the model of Mancha Oriental. And it's also an example of what I normally call, we're connecting heaven with the satellites and earth where the tractors are. What is the innovation behind all that? I will not dwell on this slide very much because you all, well, hopefully know about the water balance. So this is the only, well, I was going to say this is the only secret in the technology. Of course, then there are secrets, quote unquote, and tricks how to do the different terms in the water balance. But basically, it is a gridded water balance fed by satellite images week by week or whenever they come in. So this is the innovation, and you've heard already about the practice, which has helped us to get the abstractions down to a sustainable level. How much time do I have left, Stelios?
5 minutes for you.
Okay, thank you. So then I have time to show also this, which is a part of this governance model. As I said, it's self-organizing, self-governance of the farmers, and the satellite, quote unquote, sees it all. So if one farmer, for example, declares, oh, I have this year 2 cycles of lettuce, that's 5,000 cubic meters per hectare. But then the satellite comes and sees there are 3 cycles, which is, of course, a lot more water. And then this leads to an irrigation jury session where the farmer is heard and where the district board is heard, and then a solution is found normally in terms of a sanction. They get less water in the following year, and in very rare moments, they also have to pay a little sanction. And that has actually helped to bring down the sanctions from, well, over 20 years ago to very, very little cases. So this is the successful model of Mancha Oriental. On this slide, the only important thing is the blue. Well, the other things are important, but we only have the 8 minutes here. So technology is not enough. The community process and the people is the important co-governance also with political will from the authorities. So this is a thank you slide for everybody contributing. Now, the model of La Mancha Oriental, we could say, and they happily live forever to finish the story, but sadly enough, that's not the case. A disruptive thing has been happening the last 2 or 3 years. You recognize the crop here, it's pistachio trees. There are investors, and they have been investors coming in and starting plantations, normally quite big, 1,000 hectares or so, of pistachio in intensive. That's guzzling up all the water. So we are faced with a situation for which we need to find a new solution. Solution is not yet on the table. Stay tuned. Now I jump the last 2 minutes to a smaller scale. This is a farm, and they have parcels and plots. And this is a totally commercial application which came up at the end of Fatima, but also of many previous projects. So what the farmers get is either, oh, that was too early, is either on their cell phone the millimeters for their plot for next week irrigation, or they simply, I mean, they were asking for a PDF, so they get this PDF for different parts of the different parcels and the millimeters that are needed in the coming week. EuroMaps commercial service, fully sustainable and paid by farmers, users at different scales, small ones, big ones. And last but not least, we're jumping in scale again to the whole river basin. Now, this is the Júcar River Basin, which includes Valencia city, and also the city where we are based in Albacete inland. Water accounting is again based on the water balance, and we've done it in the context of the project Rexus. And the next step from water accounting is actually to calculate the water footprint according to the norms set by Hoekstra, so that follows the, let's say, almost certified procedure. The interesting thing about that application is that it has a political implication. You see down here the red circle, and you probably cannot read it, so I need to tell you what's in there. The water footprint is part of the river basin plans, which need to be delivered every 6 years within the Water Framework Directive. And our Rexus water footprint came just in time 2 years ago when the Júcar River Basin Authority needed to renew this, send in the new hydrological plan. So it is now the Rexus water footprint for agriculture is now part of the Júcar River Basin plan. And I will quickly jump on this and just say thank you to the Project Rexus for giving us the money to doing it, and thank you all.
Thank you, Stelios. Thank you for being here with us. We have time for only one question, either from the audience or from the online participants. Please.
Thank you for the presentation, Anna. Who was the most difficult to get involved in this change of doing things, the farmers or the policymakers or the scientific community? And how did you do it?
Very good question, Marcia. Actually, the farmers were the easier part because they sort of have been growing up with us, with the technology. They told us what they needed. And then we did it, and they said, yeah, you need to tweak this and this and that. So that was the easy part. Policymakers, they have many constraints. So we needed to fit into all these constraints. And how we did it was that we've had for almost 30 years, very good personal relationship with the River Basin Authority and of Júcar, and also with the ministries in Madrid. So basically personal communication and good relation is probably the way to not only just look at the laws and everything, but do it in a personal way.
Thank you, Dr. Rashan. So, Jesus, I think that you are the next one.
Now it's working. And next, I'm back. Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Jesus Ortuño. I'm a geographer, and that's why I'll be talking about the challenges in the global south. The essential role in Earth observation. I'll comment on a project that we, from GMB side, which is the company I work in, we've been coordinating for the past 5-ish years. Let's start with the challenges. Let's say about putting it into a context. You are all aware of this chart. You know that last July was the hottest registered, and well, this is one of the main concerns. But I want to hesitate to see this chart face by face. I don't know if you can reach it, but we are 8 billion people living in the planet. The population has been increasing, and that had put some troubles or some challenges further for the human beings on the planet. I don't know if you are aware of this concept, which is the multidimensional poverty index, in which take into account the multidimensional, as it said, poverty that came across most of the people or the minorities around the planet that have poverty. We'll see if it's a minority or not in a few slides, or how we can call a minority in those terms. But we see here that the main dimension will be health, education, and living standards. Then you can have many values. I put the source of the document here for you to check it if you feel that could be some interest for you. And I would like to focus the attention on this side, in which in Sub-Sahara Africa is wider than in the rest. You see, it's not by chance that from the past, we'll see 50 to 60 years, it was like 214 COPs attend in Africa. Just 50% of them succeed. And as you know, during the past, the end of the summer, we got the latest one in Gabon, and that I think it won't surprise anyone. I don't think that will be the last one that we see in the coming months, weeks, years, for sure. But this is that I wanted to raise this context and see how we can picture all of this problem that we are facing at global scale, especially, as it said in the presentation, the global south. And I think we should put attention on the part of what Earth observation can do, and in terms of food security or food insecurity, here are the numbers. Here are the figures. We'll see we have across the world 155 million of people across 50 countries that was taken into account for the study that experience acute food insecurity in 2020. That's what I meant when I said minority. I mean, we are talking about 155 million of people. But we can even go further if we see that 750 million people are exposed to severe food insecurity levels in the past years. This came from a study published in 2020 and the dates for 2019. But the global figure is that 2 billion people did not have access to safe, nutrition, and sufficient food in the planet. We are 8 billion, 2 billion people did not have access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. I mean, I lose sleep over this sometimes. And I know it's a big challenge and we won't be solving it, but we can contribute to help this situation. And who knows? I mean, I think the changes won't be done by one person. You know, I believe in the quote that says that a group of thoughtful people can change the world. And here, I think we are thoughtful, and for sure we are a group of people. So I think we can probably have some chances to contribute in helping these challenges. Well, it's not a surprise for any one of us that we have the agricultural monitoring systems that we create. I mean, we have eight or more than 8 main different regional and global scale monitoring systems that work near real time with real time information. We also have the increase of computation platforms, tools for data production. We know we've been talking these days about DIAS, Amazon Web Service, Google Earth Engine, projects that have been presented here, initiatives that like this very own. We know Copernicus for GeoGlam, GMS on Africa, building capacity building, increasing it. We know about that. And also it's key that at this moment, Earth observation is supporting food security assessments. We have direct evidence from Earth observation products that are taken into account for these assessments by international groups, initiatives, institutes, etc. And I'm here to talk about an experience that I have in the past years. It's a success story. It's the Agriculture's EU project. I was lucky enough to not only participate in the project, but also to assist in person at most of the user workshops for the Agriculture project, in which I will tell you in a second more about what is Agriculture or what we did, but let me talk you for a second. I'll hold you here for a second.
Just to remind you that you have only 2 minutes.
2 minutes, I will get there. In this user workshop, users were able to co-create, and since the very beginning, we were listening their demands, we were listening their needs, we were hearing what they want. We provided them an empty piece of paper, and they will sketch the wish list. And from that, we will scaffolding the rest. Then we come back a year after, and they will able to see how we advance it. They will able to play, to ask for changes, to, you know, and then at the same time, as the project was going on and the user workshop were coming again, the user community was being together, we were able to build capacity, because they were asking, a simple thing like how can I download it to my desktop GIS application because I don't have access to internet all the time. Things like that. That's why I learned like really a lot all these past years. Okay, Agriculture was an Horizon 2020 project. The goal was to enhance food security in African agricultural system through Earth observation, climate services, and geospatial analytics. The building blocks for the project were Earth observation for evidence-based decision-making services, what I mentioned before, co-design, co-create, co-develop by users, that help us to raise awareness and build capacity while we were engaging the user community and key stakeholders. That led us to attract interest, and we paved the road to scaling up. Those are the services, the major services, and the products that came within it. And I'm closing right now, Stelios. I'm just getting into the end of the presentation. Well, we provide change through user involvement, that what I mentioned, co-create, co-design, etc. Through the Earth observation and climate services that provide evidence-based decision-making, user-driven use cases that raise genuine interest from the user community, the local people, local stakeholders that were interested in this, that help us support the awareness raising, and also creating capacity development at the same time. That's quite important to enhance agricultural land use planning, agricultural land policy, etc. All of this packed together with a ribbon in the theory of change impact, you know, that we can create some impact and change. And finishing my last slide, sorry.
Only one word.
What's next? We have technology uprising, AI, machine learning, deep learning, etc. We'll get more data. We are increasing the capacity development, capacity building. We have more skills, local. We want to reach local farmers, especially in developing countries. We will come back. I'm talking now in terms of EO. We'll come with new application. Land, EO for land registry, agroforestry, agroecology, biodiversity, etc. So there is a lot of room for improvement. We have to do more. We can do more. We are thoughtful. We are a group of people, and we have the skills, the knowledge, and we are all here together, and we can go beyond for sure. So thank you. I'm sorry for being.
Thank you. We will buy it, Jesus. Any question from the audience?
Thank you, Jesus, for presenting Agricultures. You had a slide on what's next, but could you also comment a bit on, because Agricultures is closed since early this year, in which countries this pre-operational service has been uptaken by users, by governments? Some examples of governmental use that actually use this?
Yes, we have the use case. I don't know if Stelios, you want to drop in and comment briefly, but I think we got interest for in Kenya. We are actually in conversation. We have interest to continue in Niger, but you know the situation there is a bit tricky at the moment, and we've got a lot of interest from international entities that at the moment we are trying to figure out how to balance everything and go to build or scaffold on the knowledge and also the what we created and go beyond. So
with one word, just to say that operational the services are already deployed from the previous year on the Kenyan Space Agency. And now it will host the same platform, the results and services that are developing from other projects, focusing in Kenya and Uganda. And it will reuse the Agriculture's platform, the one that set it up in Kenya Space Agency. And it will follow some capacity building activities with the scientists from the Kenya Space Agency, and not only from the Kenya Space Agency, but also from Agrimet. There were a big interest in using it also in another big project funded by the European Commission from DG INPA, CLIMSA. But unfortunately, after the coup of Niger, we didn't have any news from their side. So thank you, Jesus. And I will ask from Gregory Migdakos to share his presentation. And Gregory, please, I know that what I'm asking from you is very difficult, but please try to be swift and to the point. Thank you.
I will try to. Thank you, Stelios. Thank you, everyone. Allow me 1 second to share my presentation, please. Okay. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to present the activities of Beacon project within this workshop. It was a project that was very important for us, covering, let's say, aspects of our operations, covering aspects that are core activities within our organization. And to give you a little bit of an insight, let's say, idea about agriculture insurance, we have to work, we have to cover farmers, we have to cover livestock, we have to cover as a company working from 1986 and cover, let's say, the economic, but also the social aspects of agricultural enterprises, among others. But what is going on within agriculture insurance? Both us and other companies are providing a number of products to cover those losses and cover the activities of the farmers. So in general, we can group those in two major agricultural insurance products. Those are called indemnity-based. So we, as insurance companies, are paying out the calamities happening on the basis of assessed losses. And the second and emerging product category, the index-based agricultural insurance, where we pay out on the base of some pre-specified indexes. To give you, let's say, a little bit further detail, on top of those two major categories, we have different products that cover either single peril, where again, the payout is on the basis of the percentage of damage, multi-peril, and by peril we refer to flood, hail, fire, and so forth. So where we pay out on the basis of yield loss. The new category, as I said, that is slowly increasing and it has a huge potential for the use of EU data even further, is the index-based agricultural insurance products, where in general we have, let's say, three subcategories, either on top of area yield index, where accordingly, as it's the title, the payout is direct, let's say, analogy to the area yield loss. Crop weather index, where the different products have specified a specific index, whether this is precipitation, whether this is temperature, and so forth, and accordingly triggers the payment on specific percentages. And of course, the last type, where it's again very much supported by EU data, the vegetation index based, where there are a number of products either based on NDVI, biomass, and so forth. Lastly, we see also in several countries globally the emergence of another so-called, let's call it index-based again. It's around crop revenue, and essentially what we cover to the farmer is any losses with regards to yield or price loss. But why it is very important, no matter of, let's say, the multitude of products for us to jump and exploit the EU data. Let's quickly follow up what the process is. For any indemnity-based agricultural insurance product, we have the occurrence of an event. The farmer checks his property and applies for a claim. He submits the claim to us or to any other insurance company. The insurance company reviews the claim and then sends his personnel, either in-house adjusters, to check or to perform on-field visits, make the report, negotiate with the farmer the percentage of the damage, and then accordingly make the payment of the claim. On the other hand, on index-based agricultural insurance, we follow more or less a similar approach. We have the occurrence of an event, we have the data that coming to us through a third party, whether this is a national weather agency, whether this is a network of weather stations and so forth, to confirm the occurrence of an event. And then the insurance company reviews the data coming from the different entities as providers, and we then decide upon whether the type of index-based product, either to wait and confirm the loss at the harvest, so sometime between the event and the harvest date in order to assess the final claim that will be paid out, or to directly trigger a payment. As you quickly understand, for us, it's a huge part of the activities on several aspects. First, to have the adjusters ready, whether we have them in payroll, this is a fixed cost for us to have them stand by for any occurrence of an event, but also to deploy them, perform the negotiation, perform the damage assessment, and come back to us. Similarly, in the index-based, it was also for us a huge, let's say, center of cost with regards to where to find the data to assess whether indeed one of our insured farmers have had any type of calamity, to perform the review, but also, depending on the index-based product, to make the in-field assessment at the end of the harvest season in order to adjust and see how much the final claim will be paid. As you understand, those are, let's say, core cost centers for us that can, depending on the company or depending on the area of the contracts, can reach up to 50 to 60% of our company operational administrative costs.
2 minutes left, Gregory.
Yes. So for us, it was very important to address those, let's say, bottlenecks through the use of EU data and transform our enterprise, but also to assist the sector to move from this uncertainty of future risk, the higher costs and the lower market for uptake or high premiums, to build on top of EU based services of beacon, crop monitoring, damage assessment, anti-fraud, early warning, and so forth, and move to more, let's say, prepared with the knowledge of future risk, with a more to reduce our operational administrative costs with the damage calculator, and have a better customer satisfaction, a better portfolio offering to our customers. We did use, of course, a beacon, and beacon was very important to us, allowing us to use Earth observation data, weather information, blockchain technology, and we did pilot test the services deployed within beacon in Serbia, in Greece, and in Spain, but we also designed on top of the added value of beacon a number of cases for Central Europe and Nigeria. Very quickly, what we built upon and what we did pilot test in several areas. We did pilot the damage assessment services for hailstorm using Sentinel-2 data, floods with the combined use of Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-1 data, frost, again with Sentinel-2 data, wildfires, Sentinel-2 data, and for drought, using also MODIS NDVI data and NDVI anomaly. So basically, what was the result? How useful was the beacon infrastructure and the EU data to our activities? As you can see, I have named here our 6 main operations. With regards to underwriting, the EU data and the were very helpful to our operations in order to have a better understanding of what's the future yields that we were questioned to either secure, to insure, or either perform payouts in the near future. So for us, it will provide
30 seconds, Gregory.
Yes, very good climate risk profiles. We had the opportunity to, let's say, to empower our farmers, our insured farmers with prevention information, especially with regards to hail, with short and medium range weather forecast information, to quantify event zones so as to know where initially an event took place and which farmers out of our portfolio had to start the process of claim and damage assessment. We had very good, let's say, estimation of flood and fire damage to our insured farmers, average with regards to drought, frost, and hail events. The contract monitoring gave us very good information with regards to crop
Gregory, there is an end of time. Unfortunately, I try to be polite, but time is pressuring. So if you can conclude.
Yeah, of course.
No.
If you allow me to just showcase the next slide very quickly. For us, the results were that much positive that, let's say, we assimilated, let's call it like that, and we include the majority of the services and of the operations offered and deployed within Beacon, giving to us significant cost savings, but also increased transparency and customer satisfaction. We use them as we speak. We use them in designing new products and serving the Greek market. And we hope that, let's say, within the future, the increased availability of more satellites, of more sensor systems will allow us to improve assessments even further. Thank you, Stelios. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gregory. We have only time for one short question and or sum up. There is one.
Hi, good morning. A short question. How have you assessed the accuracy of the indices you have developed for assessing the damages?
Yes. As let me go back to the slide. Okay, as you can see here, we had a good estimation for flood and fire. So the damage assessment services provide were, let's say, sufficient to give us a good indication that was also represented in the parcels, but it was average for drought, frost, and hail events. The issue here is, even though we were looking at the starters to have, let's say, quick information following an event, in most cases, let's say, on one hand, the lack of satellite images was hindering, or let's say, postponing a little bit the quick assessment following an event. And it's also what we also have seen in the pilot operations. No matter how, let's say, quick we had information following an event, we had to follow up until the harvest date in order to have a better approximation of yield impact in the parcel. And this is because, as we witnessed in the project activities, crops can rebound if favorable conditions follow an event. Of course, in cases where the severity of the damage is not 100% at the time of the event.
Thank you, Gregory. Thank you. I have to cut you. Apologies, but thank you for your presentation and for the time. Just to make one comment about the pilot cases, because it was on the map on the previous slides. I think, Gregory, it was more than 2,000 different claims from Serbia, Iberia Peninsula, and other areas, where based on them, according to their needs, they have validated the services. So, for the next presentation, I would like to ask from Ms. Dimitra Perperidou from Drax Environmental to share her screen. And Dimitra,
hello,
please
Stelios.
try to be swift, you know.
Yes, of course. Can you see my screen, Stelios? Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm here on behalf of Drax Environmental, located in Greece, to present Apollo advisory services for small farmers based on NEO. So when Stelios asked me to share post-project sustainability and long-term impact, I instantly thought of it as a journey. And it is a journey that we are still on. Sorry, I'm trying to change. Thank you. So every great thing starts with an idea followed by doubt and finally a resolve to abandon or pursue. And we're still pursuing what we started with Apollo a couple of years ago. So Apollo in mythology, as you know, was the son of Zeus, who rode the chariot to bring light to the world every day, integral for all plants in order to grow, bloom, and produce seed. And this is how our team gave birth to the idea of Apollo, an idea that, as I will share with you, transformed through the years, keeping always a common denominator though, help producers in their daily activities. The initial idea of Apollo focused on 4 services that would be developed using the power of Earth observation and combining it with agronomical algorithms and data sources to provide users with valuable information, such as, for example, the optimal or bad conditions for tilling their field. Providing that information, they would be able to decide when to take action in order to minimize the environmental impact, avoid soil erosion, for example, or at the same time achieve the maximum result. For creating such a tool that would bring that knowledge to the end users, of course, their input was not only needed, it was required. For that purpose, end users worked alongside developers, agriculturalists, scientists, Earth observation professionals, and other experts to bring the idea of Apollo to life. What you see here is our first attempt. It is the first step that we took, as you will see later on, and this evolved. All this process took more than 2 years. We did not only have to invest time to develop the platform, we needed to invest time to validate the services that we were providing to our end users. So this is a very lengthy process. We needed in situ data for every crop, different data sets, take into consideration aspects like the seasons or the weather that can be very, very a parameter that we cannot foresee. Concluding with Apollo, though, did not end the journey that we were set on. As I said, we pursued what the next steps. So we rebranded Apollo and launched it into the market, and thus began another journey. Again, closely working with our users and keeping as a pillar of the agronomical and Earth observation expertise, we added to what we had started developing a few years ago, adding, for example, new services, as is the fertilization service or the CO2 service, all again driven from end users, either farmers or companies. So working closely with our users, observing them, we also managed to add new features in what we were doing. Sorry, new crops, new features, as I said, like the crop calendar that we took some years to develop. But adding to that export or other little things that could make their work easier and their daily activities easier to do. So I don't want to take more of the time. We did bring everything, made adjustments during the years to the user interface, as you saw, always ensuring that our product is up to the standards of the user, fulfilling their needs and making their life easier. But what I would keep as a lesson learned is that we need to continue leveraging the power of Earth observation and combining it with agricultural knowledge. We will keep on evolving, and as Darwin said, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most responsive to change. So thank you, Stelios.
Actually, this is my expression right now. Any question from the audience? Or someone from the online participants? So I do have a question, Dimitra, because we do have the time. Tell us more about what was the journey of bringing these services to the farmers and actually discussing with them on how to make them useful for them and their operations.
Thank you for the question. So I mentioned it briefly. We are always working with users, and they are the ones that drive what you see and what we shared here with you today. It is always a challenge to work with users because you have different input, different needs that you have to combine to bring them together and to give a result that would make happy most of them. They will make that would make their life easier and their daily activities easier.
So now I would like to ask from Assistant Professor Dr. Irini Pantazi to come and present about the Earth observation aspects of soil health.
Okay. So initially, I was going to discuss about how the term soil health and what it does convey, and we're going to discuss about the Earth observation data and how many types of them are used in our applications for the Earth observation towards soil health. How are these data are acquired and how are these processed through the different and latest trends that are applied around Earth observation. And finally, the occasion of the sea soil and its results, its related results, and some short discussion about the limitation and challenges that we have faced, or all the projects that are related towards the soil health and the sustainable land management have to do with. So initially, the soil health, most of the times, the term is mixed with the soil quality, but the term of the soil health also has a special characteristics. It concerns the continual capacity of soil so as to function in a vital living system containing in its own ecosystem and its land use boundaries. So we have to maintain and sustain the biological productivity in order to enhance its quality, to manage better the water, and of course, ensure human, animal, and plant health. Regarding the Earth observation data, has been proven a very instrumental and useful tool for managing the soil health. So they provide us with different insights in various soil parameters, processing, so as to give us the opportunity to do some decision making in order to ensure the sustainable land use and in order to preserve the vital role the soil has as a resource. So there are many things that you already know: the optical data, the radar data, the infrared and thermal data are employed to the service of the Earth observation, so as to reach conclusion about the vegetation analysis, the land use classification, the terrain mapping, the temperature monitoring, the terrain monitoring, and also the volcanic activity as well. There are also the hyperspectral data that has been widely applied lately for reaching conclusions about the crop health condition and the pollution monitoring. There is the LiDAR data for the urban planning, the disaster risk assessment, and the multispectral data that are able to capture many differences in order to demonstrate discrete spectral basis. So recent insights of the Earth observation data in the soil health convey the soil composition and its properties so as to reach information about the presence and the essential of nutrients, organic matter, moisture content, and soil structure, the land use and the land cover changes that allows us to change the land use, and particularly towards the climate change. The erosion and degradation of soil by monitoring the changes in topography and vegetation. Sorry? Okay. So there are also many insights, including the prediction of soil health, the sustainable land management, the crop health and productivity, and the identification of contamination. So these data are acquired through satellite, aerial photography, ground-based remote sensing stations. And the latest trends, of course, convey some machine learning applications and high-resolution remote sensing and integration. Of course, this requires integration of multi-sensor data in order to serve the machine learning thing. So, what concerns about the Soil project, its main task is to design and implement and test shared China EU-based observatory platform so as to provide and monitor the status of the threats towards soil and the land resources. In order to support sustainable management of soil, to increase its productivity, and to reduce the yield variability across time and space. So, one of the tools that have been developed was the geostatistical analysis and mapping towards the estimation of key soil quality, physical and fertility indicators, in order to process the machine learning scanning and soil datasets and to create some smooth interpolated soil properties. And of course, the estimation of these key soil properties has led us into adapt key soil quality, physical and fertility indicators that has been done through Vine-SAR spectrum-based predictive algorithms. So there were management zone maps produced and methodologies for the variable rate fertilization. So moving on from the results to the challenges, I would say from this experience that it's very important to define the policy priorities of parameters for the soil protection. And also, we need to define soil nutrient data sets both as individual indicators and as a composite indicator for soil fertility. Apart from that, we need to assist the assessment of the CAP performance through assessing the soil individual indicators, and to propose and design the management practices in order to improve the agricultural soils and to stop this ongoing land degradation, perhaps through variable rate fertigation or fertilization. Of course, we should pay more attention at the model's interoperability, because it is very important from the part of the data analyst experience to debug the AI models and make more informed decisions. And last but not least, all this big data that has been producing has to be recycled in a way and to be used from the future projects and people for the future projects show us to construct a really sustainable database and protocol show us to protect soil health. Thank you.
Thank you, Irini. Any question from the audience? Yeah. Questions, okay. The guy behind it was...
Hi, thank you. Which concept of, which classification of soil health do you use in your research? Cornell soil health or some... Which
classification
definition? Yes.
Method for the machine learning one?
No, for the soil health. Soil health as a soil health index, and which method do you use?
The vegetation indices, you mean? You mean the vegetation?
No, soil health index. You mentioned soil health. Maybe you use the term, but without.
No.
Really
I said
it.
that we're going to. It is part of the discussion. We haven't used soil indexes.
Soil health, okay. So,
no.
Okay.
It has been used more in a more deliberate way.
It was mainly on monitoring the parameters affecting the framework of soil health, because back then in 2019, when the project started, it was not so clear the definition of soil health as it is right now. So it was to test the different technologies and data and to see how it will be useful for sustainable land use management.
But to answer to your question generally, and not for the CESHL projects, I think that there were 12 soil indicators now defined, but this paper has been published 1 year ago. So it is a really recent one. At this time, we have run the CESHL. This picture wasn't really clear, so we have used the vegetation indices in order to cover this thing. Of course you can. We are open to that. That's why I've proposed the sustainability between previous projects and the future ones.
Thanks for the presentation. I understood you mentioned somewhere that it was a cooperation with China, and actually obviously this was a topic. Maybe we have a chat later anyway how that went, but did you have, concrete question, did you have access to Chinese Earth observation data from satellites or something?
Unfortunately, no.
And it was not only for the Earth observation data, but also to share other data and information with them.
Yeah, it was really difficult, but okay.
Thank you, Irini. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask for someone from the National Paying Agency. Thomas, you will make the presentation, or Osius? Yeah. To come and share their experiences on working with European projects and developing Earth observational infrastructure for their organization. This one or this one?
Okay, and for slides?
And with this, you can change the slides.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Martynas Rimgaila. I'm here on behalf of Aušrius Kučinskas. So let's kick off this presentation by delving into knowledge and experience gained by national paying agencies' use of Earth observation data to monitor common agriculture policy requirements. Allow me to introduce paying agencies, experiences, field of operation, and I invite you to watch a short video. And please pay attention to this beautiful lady. Sorry, no sound. Yeah, so main aspects.
Business owners and local communities by the Republic of Lithuania and the European Union, while using integrated administration and control system, satellite data, artificial intelligence, robotic software, and mobile applications for remote monitoring of supported agricultural activities. Lithuanian farmers and agricultural companies are continuously showing an active interest in employing new digital solutions for monitoring farmers' performance.
So, unfortunately, this lady is just artificial avatar. So it's a new technology we use in our agency to communicate with farmers because they don't like to read. But then they have a video, a short video with explanation, so it's more likable by farmers. So we pay 1 billion euros per year, so it's a huge amount of money. So we need to be sure for what do we pay, and we have a CAP monitoring system, mobile app in Lithuania. It's called Anime Agro, and the backbone of all innovations we have in our agency is projects. So I will shortly introduce them to you. The main tool we use, the main input data we use in our AMS system is Sentinel, Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2. And this illustration is very helpful when we communicate with farmers. So each part of planet Earth is covered by images. So each parcel, each declared area also is seen by sentinels. So up to now, we created 24 markers, and it is like more or less the same monitoring system in each member state over the Europe Union, because it's mandatory starting from 2023. We enabled the prevention system because from controls, we moved to prevention because every 10 days, farmers can see results of monitoring. And for example, if the grass is still not cut, so we send a message, please farmer, do your obligation, and afterwards you will be paid for that. So we have 4 markers for land cover detection, arable land, grasslands, non-eligible objects, grassland mowing activity, 18 crop types, algorithms, and fallow land tillage detection. And luckily, we reached 99% of accuracy of results, so it's a huge number. Another big part of our system is mobile app to receive geotagged photos with evidences from the field. So first time it was used in 2018. We up to now have 38,000 active users, and we don't use one-way communication to farmers, just give us the photos, but two-way communication, and we provide all available information we have. So we have Sentinel time to Syria, so farmer can scroll down his parcel and look through the data. Also, we published open data layers like declared parcels, Natura 2000, soil erosion. So everything what is necessary for farmer are in one place. And of course, our useful information. Yeah, so this year was very stressful for our agency because we received around 70,000 geotagged photos, average 632 photos per day. And definitely we need new tools to deal with such a huge amount of photos. So we already tested some artificial intelligence-based solutions in EVA project and in-house pilot. So we are available to detect 12 different crops of fruits, vegetables, and berries based on geotagged photos. MPA is very active in projects. As I mentioned, projects are the backbone of all innovations we have. So we have two groups. It's international projects with EU partners and projects we have in-house. Even we are looking through all the finalized projects which were held over several years or several months ago. So let's dive deeper into our project's ecosystem. So we have three main parts marked in yellow. So NMA Agro, LPIS, GSA system, and area monitoring system. So each project has its own place in our ecosystem. And I would like to highlight the green ones. So we are still ongoing. So it is Envision project, with its mobile app, with platform, with algorithms, markers we use in our area monitoring system, IFL for more environmental tools, Agri-Data Value, platform of platforms, and the newest project, Birdwatch, for bird habitats modeling and visualization. Yeah, so to overview all projects, there are three main objectives. So we have projects with app platforms for monitor and implementation of CAP requirements. Another part is platforms for environmental data and activity modeling, and of course preparation of data sets of markers and results using satellite images, drones, in situ data, and field photos provided by farmers. And this is the best part of presentation, so example of successful results, because we are not just piloting, but afterwards we are implementing it into our operational level. Yeah, so we have a Sentinel-2 image with deeply resolved resolution, boundaries delineated by artificial intelligence, and results provided in the platforms, for example, by Envision project. So this is a deeply resolved image. We have 2 times per year, and it's fully generated from Sentinel-2 and from 10 meter to 1 meter resolution. And this is the example how farmers see the imagery and deeply resolved boundaries by artificial intelligence. It's very impressive, because in some parts you even cannot decide it's by human or by computer. Examples of environmental data. So from Envision project, we have runoff risk zones, water pollution zones, burned areas, and from IFL, organic carbon content, clay content, and erosion indicator. And the newest project, Birdwatch. So we will have online platform based on remote sensing, species distribution models, biodiversity indicators, bird observation data, and we'll publish it online for farmers, for supervisory institutions, policymakers, NGOs. So each stakeholder will have something to see on the platform. And of course, we have some challenges to move forward. So we implemented AMS, area monitoring system, but it is just the beginning. We need more markers to detect, for example, non-tillage activity, organic farming, and it is quite difficult. We need to improve control of grasslands, and luckily this year we had the Envision project. They assisted us with very good quality results, so we implemented it in our operational level. Of course, we need AI tools for geotagged photo recognition and improve farmers' interaction with us, with all these new technologies. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Martinos. Any question from the audience? Someone, or from those that they are participating online? Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. I think if I checked quickly correctly, you're not participating in the partnership agriculture of data. Is there any reason, or maybe you can talk with Nicola Pirone after this presentation to discuss the potential inclusion in the next proposal? Because I think it's very nice and very relevant. things you present.
If we want to find out more about your methods, the technology, I missed it. I didn't see any publication or anything. What's the best source? Is it the project website or?
Yeah, so we have nma.lt, our webpage. So all projects are described there, but if you need to find a concrete method technology, you should look at the project from which it was provided. So if you want more details, you can always contact us and we will provide with more details where to find it.
Okay, thank you.
So if there is no other question, thank you, Martinos. To conclude our session, Erwin, I think that we are on time. And also I will have this 1 minute for you to make the announcement. But before this, just to make a conclusion between the 2 days, yesterday that we discussed the barriers and challenges about the Earth observation in agriculture. Now we saw the success stories where many projects, they delivered services, actual services that they are selling in the market, either from the public sector or either from the private sector. Some of the projects, well, the majority of the projects were innovation action. Some others, like Africulture and CU Soil, were research and innovation action. So they need some more time to deliver commercial results. So it seems that the sustainability of the Earth observation infrastructure and the funding mechanism that they are leading all these participants to develop their services seems to be working. And now I think that the next step is how we will continue to sustain this community of the Agriculture Action Group, and also not only to sustain the same, but also to bring new persons and also all the stakeholders that they are working with the Earth observation data, because it's not only the scientific part and the technical, but also there is the part of the users, the farmers, the public agents, the agencies that they are using this, and perhaps they have to offer more by their participation here and build a community around the EuroGEO. Thank you.
Thanks, Stelios, and thanks for shaping this interesting session on sustaining the interactions. Let's say there are some posters outside where you can put ideas for potential for the next EuroGEO Secretariat. So please make use of this to share your ideas and engage in the discussions tomorrow. Secondly, we saw indeed interesting things, and there will be an EU booth at the Cape Town Geo Ministerial. So you are heartily welcome to put in the expression of interest that RTT sent out. If you have a poster you can make, if you have a video featuring avatars or real humans, I don't care, but please fill in the expression of interest, if possible today or tomorrow. And certainly if you can show interactions with Kenyan or Ugandese users, that would be ideal too. And of course, if you're there, feel free to also present something at our booth. And then lastly, I would like to invite you now to the foyer here. Here we have the e-poster sessions. On this floor, we have e-posters on agriculture and land cover. And downstairs, we have them on urban and Arctic, if I'm not mistaken. So please join the sessions and see you then in the next session. Thank you. Thank you, Stelios.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Jordi, this is Alex from EuroGEO. Are you already there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. If you want, we can quickly give you permission to share your slides so that we just check that everything's fine.
Okay.
Luja,
So this is
okay. Yeah, we can see it, but not in full screen yet. This is the, okay. Yeah, this looks perfect. Great. Thanks. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
I stop. I wait my.
Okay, then you can Jordi, if you want, you can also switch on your camera. Then we can also put you visible while you present next to your slides, basically.
Now it says I cannot because something of the host does not allow.
Scusa.
It says you cannot start your video because the host has.
Now we cannot hear you very well. There's some kind of, you're breaking up when you speak.
So when I try to activate the camera, it says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Excuse me, are you using a headset, microphone, and headphone? No, without.
Direct from the computer.
The quality, audio quality is not so good. And we can't see you in the room.
Yeah, because I don't know, I cannot activate my camera. I don't know why. I can try to reconnect, maybe.
Can you use a earphone, headphone, or something else? Maybe we can improve the audio quality. And it could be fine to see you in the room if it is possible.
Ivan, can you also check if Diego Fernandez is there? Or
Yes, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well, loud and clear. Thanks, Diego. You also
Okay.
quickly want to try to share your slides?
Yes, let me try. Share a screen, window. Okay. Can you see it?
It's loading.
Yes, and you can put your slide in full screen mode. Yep.
Perfect. If you have a video camera to switch on, then you can also put your face next to the
Yes,
slide.
I try it, but it say I cannot start the video because the host has stopped it.
The same, that happens to me.
So I cannot start the video. When I try start video, it says that the host has stopped it.
Okay, just a moment.
In my case, it's the audio better now.
Diego, can you try to switch on your camera now?
Okay, now should work.
Super.
Here I
Yes,
am.
we can see you perfect.
Very good.
And then let's try with Jordi. We can also see perfect. And can you try to speak again?
The audio is better now?
Yeah, it's better now. I think people in the room, can you understand Jordi when he speaks?
Yes, it's a little bit better now.
Okay, thanks. Perfect. Okay, then we are all set with the technical check. Thanks for now. You're then the third and fourth speakers. First Jordi, then Diego. I will call you up then. Okay, thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to connect.
Sure. And you can switch off your microphone until you speak. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can slowly start here. So welcome to this session on digital twins in Europe. There are quite a lot of activities going on in this domain now with things like Destination Earth, lots of research calls in the Horizon program who tackle the digital twins, and also exciting new things happening in the European Space Agency, HumanSat and other actors here in Europe. So I thought it's quite sensible to bring all the people together, see a little bit how this all fits also into the context of EuroGEO and how we can all collaborate on some of the challenging topics in this domain. tackling things like harmonization of the data streams, of the architectures, or the software architectures, interoperability between different of them, federation, data spaces, all kinds of concepts that we need to tackle here. And finally, also some challenges in the terms of the long-term support and operation of such services once you have a digital twin. In general, I think we can all agree that it's a useful tool that helps us to make decisions if we have to set up them well and can really try different scenarios, play around with them and understand different things better based on the models that we have. And yeah, really looking forward to this. So the first speaker today will be Thomas Geenen from ECMWF, and he will talk about the digital twin engine of Destination Earth. So Thomas, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so very good. So I would like to talk a little bit about Destination Earth and what we're doing in trying to make Destination Earth a platform where other digital twins can coexist with the digital twins that we're currently developing, how we work with European projects under the Horizon Europe program, and also other initiatives. So first, maybe a few words about Destination Earth itself. It's a long-running initiative funded directly by the Commission with the aim to put Destination Earth in production, long-term production by 2030. So we're working towards that goal to have something that is sustainable in the long term as well. It's executed by 3 entrusted entities: ECMWF, where I work, ESA, and EUMETSAT. And currently we're in the first phase of Destination Earth, and we're focusing on 4 main elements, basically developing the platforms, the core platform, the data lake, and the environment where the digital twins run, the digital twin engine, and actually implementing the first 2 digital twins, one on extreme weather and the other one on climate change adaptation. So this is a high-level overview of the landscape, what it looks like. So as you can see, on the right-hand side, you have the users interacting with the system. There's a core platform where the digital twins can be discovered, explored, the data can be discovered and explored and used. Additional applications can be deployed and run. From there, we have the connection with the data lake, where the output of the digital twin data will be stored, but also other data sources will be federated that you can use to run your digital twin, or maybe combine different data sources to build additional applications on top of what we provide. And then we have the digital twin engine, which is the focus of this talk, which is basically the set of services and software infrastructure and components that allow you to run and operate and interact with these digital twins. So it really focuses on the data handling components, on the orchestration of the twins. So currently, the 2 digital twins that we're working on have a strong focus on improving the quality of the models themselves. We're going to quite extreme resolutions globally, and also improving the models on a regional level. The second important component is that we want to develop impact sector simulations and models that can zoom into particular areas where these impacts are felt. And obviously, digital twin has a very strong interactive component as well, where people can interact with these models and with the data to run their own scenarios and to understand how certain policy decisions will fan out and the impact of those decisions, right? So here's an example of the continuous on-demand for extreme weather. So we're on a global model that can detect certain extreme events. As soon as an event like that is detected, regional models can be run. We can zoom in and we can track them. So here, for instance, you see an animation where we zoom into a certain part of the global model, and then you can see that we can track even across borders, different countries. We can track a certain extreme event over time and analyze the impact for instance, in this case, Southern Europe. Similar thing we do for climate. So on the right hand side, you see a high resolution global 5-kilometer run for climate prediction, which allows you to get a much better quality model on the one hand, but also to couple the information more directly with regional models. You can understand that if you on the left hand side, if you have to go from that model and try to interpret the local effect, it's really difficult to do that because the blocks are just very, very big. It's much easier to zoom in from an already high resolution model, which also has obviously a higher quality already. Here we have the same approach. So these are, again, global climate simulations. We can zoom in, for instance, in this case, we zoom in over Western Europe, and there we zoom in even further and we select a single point where a wind farm is developed, and we can predict or run scenarios on the wind farm production on a specific location, given different climate scenarios, right? So it's quite detailed in that sense. So then a few words about interoperability, what the topic of this session is. So as you can see, digital twins typically have a lot of different components. And yes, there's a big model as well that sits in the middle, and it's very important, but there's a lot of different interfaces and a lot of different services that are basically that are sitting around this digital twin. And users interact via these components with the model, right? So we have components that allow you to operate on the data, and we have components that allow you to operate on the models itself via the control flow of these models. And what we are currently doing is we are working with other Horizon Europe product and also other projects to understand how we can harmonize these interfaces and how we can make these interfaces interoperable between the different projects to allow digital twin from one project to be run in the context of another project or in the context of Destination Earth itself. By doing that, we found that we actually cannot talk about interoperability in a single sense. We have to talk about an integration continuum. So potentially there are digital twins that need to interact with each other on a deep physics level, right? So for instance, you have a digital twin of a volcano that emits ashes into the atmosphere, and you have a digital twin of the atmosphere, and then you really want to have a coupling on the physics, right? So that means you have a really tight integration. And the interface looks completely different than when you go to the complete right-hand side of the spectrum, where maybe someone just wants some data or some information from Destination Earth, and he might not even be aware of all the underlying components, right? So he doesn't have to do a lot of integration, just on the consumption level. So that's really something important to keep in mind when you talk about integration. It's not always the same thing, right? You really have to think, what is my use case? What do I need from the system? And where do I put these interfaces? So this is another interesting example where we have streaming model of the data. So different digital twins, they stream out the data in a generalized form. An application can sit in that data stream and consume that data and also feedback the results back into the model. So that's a really kind of a tight integration concept. I know. So here's a little bit our approach there. So we try to harmonize these architectures, identify the different functional components, identify also the tools and components that are being used to implement these functions in a different architecture, and try to understand where we have to define these interfaces and where do we have to define interoperability. And the way we do that is by drawing these solution paths to the landscape. So you have a use case, you bring a use case, you draw your solution through the landscape, you identify the interoperability points, and then we solve those per use case. And by doing that, building up the landscape and making it more interoperable in general. And that being said, I would like to invite you all to come to the Destination Earth User Exchange meeting in November, where we're going to do this exercise also for use cases that are not funded by Horizon Europe, but it's really, we open the floor to everybody who wants to work with Destination Earth. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Thomas, for this great presentation and keeping the time perfectly. Good example for the first speaker. Is there any quick question now? I would take just one short question now so that we have more time for discussion. Yes, we have one over there.
Thank you. Just a quick question. How are you dealing with the difference in the spatial variability that also affect the microphysics and the other components of the system? Because if you go from a coarse resolution on a global scale back to a convective scale or even to 500 meters, I suppose that it was quite complex with all this scalability, both in the spatial terms, temporal, and also the physics.
Yeah, so definitely impacted physics. So we do a lot of parameterization, right? So physics that we cannot resolve, we parameterize them. Of course, if you go to higher resolution, there's more physics that you can resolve, but you cannot resolve everything because there's always physics happening on a scale that you don't resolve. So you have to rethink what you parameterize and what you resolve, we think by going to this kilometer scale resolution, we resolve a very important physics scale and can really improve the quality of the models. But obviously, there's still many scales below that you still have to parameterize. Right?
Okay, thank you. Then I would invite now the second speaker on the stage, which is Andrea Manzi from EGI. He will talk about the Intertwin project, the blueprint architecture for digital twins. So the floor is yours, Andrea. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm not so tall as Thomas, so I have to. Good morning, everyone. Andrea Manzi from the EGI Foundation. I will introduce the Intertwin project and the link to also to Destination Earth and other projects that are building this Intertwin of the Earth. So we, as a high-level overview of the project, we aim at building a prototype digital twin engine, which is based on a co-design digital twin engine blueprint architecture. The aim of the project is to build this engine interdisciplinary and co-design with the providers and the communities that are part of the project. The platform that we are building is open source with the TRL level of TRL 6 or 7, depending on the components. And the main thing is that the engine should support digital twin application in various domains. So this is a quick overview of the consortium. So EGI Foundation is the coordinator. So then we have like 39 participants. The project started in September and lasts 3 years. So in total, we have like several providers from resource in cloud, HTC and HPC, technology providers and community representatives. So quickly, so we have like 2 main digital twins areas. So one in the physics domain, which is, so we have like 4 digital twins developed by energy physics, quantum field theory, radio astronomy, and gravitational wave astronomy. So for today, I think I'm not going to go into details on this. But the main, for today, I think that it's important to realize what are the digital twins for the stream events of the Earth, which are the other 6 digital twins that we use as a use case for piloting the digital twin engine that we are building. And we have different organizations that are working on this, also EuroGEO, so Alex here and his team. So the main digital twins are dealing with the climate change impact for the projection of stream events in terms of storms and fires, early warning for floods and droughts, and climate change impacts for extreme events in storms, fire, floods, and droughts. These are the main area. So as I said before, the project started like more or less 1 year ago. We delivered the first architecture blueprint, which is available now also on GitHub with Zenodo with the specification. There will be another version that is under development at the beginning of 2024, and then the last one will be ready by the end of the next year. It also, of course, take into account, apart from the requirements from the user communities, but also the initiatives and projects which are linked or in the European landscape. So, of course, Destination Earth, EOSC, other projects also that are coming from energy physics, given that we have also this part in the project. So we try to reuse, for instance, technologies that are coming from other domains, like energy physics, also in the context of the climate and EO. This is an overview of the components that the architecture that at the moment has been released. So in our case, the digital twin engine is divided in 3 layers. So we have a layer of infrastructure, so the resources, the providers that are giving, and then a level of orchestration and federated data management. On top of this, we have a layer of core components, which deals with the workload composition, quality management, and serverless computing. And then we have also a layer of thematic modules, which are tailored to the needs of the digital twins, which are really the application on top. And they are developed also by the same communities which are developing digital twins. They're also developing these modules which are pluggable into the core. And we deal with 2 types of users. So the end users, which are the ones that use the digital twins. And then we have the developers, which use the engine, the digital twin engine, as a as a pass in order to develop digital twins to be used by the application, by the users on top. So quickly, these are, I put here some of the technologies that we are using and extending or developing from scratch in the different layer. So for the part of the orchestrator, we are using like Tosca, so the components that are dealing with the definition of deployment request in Tosca templates. For the federated data management, we use what is blueprint from coming from the project Escape, so in the energy physics domain, and all the which we are trying to extend also to include stack catalog on there. And from the federated compute, we'll try to develop a way to offload and homogenize the access to different type of HPC, HDC, and cloud. And for the, this is just to give you an idea of the different compute and resources that we have in the project. So we have like a cloud, HDC, and HPC provider, including HPC. Some of them, they offer both cloud and HPC or HTC as well. So there are different classes of resources and different requirements coming from them as well. And for the core, we have like the part of the workflow composition, which is based on the CWL and running on the different type of workflow engines, and try to execute also different backends for data analysis like OpenEO, Dask, or Spark. And also merged with the ML and AI training platform. We have also components for real-time and data acquisition and processing and quality verification, which is based on a component which comes from another project, Synergy, that has been extended in this context of this project. And finally, on the thematic part, as I said, these are the components that we want to so developed by the digital twins, let's say applications plugged into existing core components. And if those components will be reused by different resource communities, we will, let's say, they will be promoted as core components in the infrastructure. So this is the different thematic module that we are supporting. So as a timeline, so basically we completed the first design and the specification in June was the deadline for that. So we are preparing the first release of the software, which is at the end of the year. So in November, we will have the internal release, and then the public release will be beginning of 2024, which will then be validated by the digital twins that will use the software in April next year. And then we will have another round. In time, we will also update the design specification and the blueprint architecture. And then the second software release will be at the end of close to the end of the project, so in April 2025, and then the final validation in August. All the components that we are developing are ready in GitHub, so we have a community in GitHub. You can check what the first component that are being developed in this regard. For the part of the interoperability technology chain, this was also mentioned by Thomas. So basically, we try to we are planning and we are working also with the SNWF. Thomas is also a member of the project to design a compatible architecture. We have also started to work together with DG Connected. This is an activity also started with other project that has been funded in Horizon Europe to deal with the Earth digital twins like BioDT, EuroGEO, and Edito Infra, which is the infrastructure of the digital twins of the ocean. To have basically these activities to harmonize the architecture, have a common glossary of digital twins, like this has been mentioned by Thomas. And for so this is one of the things that we should discuss in the session. So for sure, the project is ending in 2025, and the coordinator, so the GI Foundation, will operate the services that we are building in the federation that is managing. One of the objectives of the project is also to link to deliver the service in EOSC, so in the open to the user of the EOSC Exchange. In parallel, of course, we would like to integrate the technology
if possible, in the destination Earth ecosystem. So we have like some early discussion of some of the components that we are developing to be piloted also in the context of destination Earth. And of course, the digital twins use cases that we are piloting now, if of course we manage to have a infrastructure or architecture which is interoperable with destination Earth, will be, of course, will try to be hosted also in the future in what destination Earth is building in the infrastructure. For instance, one example is this early warning digital twin from that was also mentioned by Thomas, and basically this will be like one way to continue also the exploitation of the digital twins that you are building in the context of destination Earth. Yeah, I think that's was it. Thanks a lot. If you have like a...
Thank you very much, Andrea. Any question, a quick question from the room here for Andrea immediately? I see you totally overwhelmed them very well. There's one question, perfect. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks for your very interesting work. I was wondering, you were talking about a general infrastructure that is able to handle different digital twin. And the module, the specific module for the different digital twin are will be also, they will follow also the open source specification, and they will be published in the same GitHub, or each project will distribute or at least communicate, share the code differently?
So the idea, I mean, we are not forcing like all the different communities to share their models or the output of the activity in our intertwin. But everything that we are developing is open source. So basically starting from the technologies and also the models and everything. So this is for sure is going to be released. Not sure if this will be in the intertwin GitHub, but for sure is in other repositories that will be open. So okay. everything is open.
So it's not yet discussed, but the framework is set.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andrea. Then we can come to the next speaker. You can also sit here if you want to. And the next speaker will be Jordi Duarte Suarez from EUMETSAT, and he will talk about the importance of data lakes in the context of digital twins. So, Jordi, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry for myself not to share some days with you in this nice city of Bolzano. I'm very sorry I cannot join you. So let's see if technology allows, and we can present what is the data lake in the context of destination Earth. Okay, so obviously there will be some overlap from the presentation given by Thomas, because we are working in the same project. But I will introduce you in general terms what is destination Earth. So with the aim of building a highly accurate digital model of the Earth. With several objectives, and basically to develop, as I said, a very high precision digital model of the Earth, to monitor and simulate natural and human activity, and to develop and test the scenarios for more sustainable development, and for achieving both a Green Deal and the digital strategy, which are priorities for the European Commission and the European Union. Very ambitious project, I would say. So as Thomas has said, so Destination Earth is a joint initiative from 3 entities: European Space Agency, ECMWF, and EUMETSAT. We are developing 3 different components of Destination Earth, which are self-standing components. So European Space Agency is responsible of what is called the core service platform, which is the entry point for the users in Destination Earth. Then EUMETSAT is responsible of developing the Destination Earth data lake, and ECMWF, as Thomas has said, is responsible of the digital twin engine, which is the framework architecture, and also providing in this first phase 2 digital twins. One is for the extreme weather, and the other one is for the for the climate adaptation. So there's these two digital twins, and all digital twins that will be coming, obviously will be generating a huge amount of data, because we are talking about simulations with very high precision and very high time resolution, which means obviously a huge amount of gigabytes to be stored and to be accessed. And this is in itself a challenge and an endeavor. And then also we have the in the data lake several different data sources that we plan to make accessible seamlessly for the users of Destination Earth. So not only satellite data, Earth observation data, but also sensors and Internet of Things data, other federated data spaces from social data, economical data, financial data, so everything that can be available. And obviously also own user-generated data that could be processed in the framework of Destination Earth. So typical use case would be an expert via the desk, the platform to access Destination Earth, accessing to a portal, and then getting through the discovery service, the collection of services that Destination Earth will be offering. In this case, for example, we can discover all the different data sets that Destination Earth will be offering, digital twin outputs, of course, also federated data spaces, as we have said, and data generated by the users, and a structure, for example, in data cubes that can be system data cubes or user-generated data cubes. Then, in order to create a collaborative research environment, the user will be able to use the computing infrastructure that is offered in Destination Earth, what is called the Islet service, that will allow to deploy a full set of network of virtual machines over a Kubernetes environment. But there will be also the possibility to access already built-in applications, for example, Jupyter Hub or other type of applications, which will allow them deploy AI/ML libraries that will be also offered off the shelf in the system. And then we will have, through the desk, advanced services that will allow visualization tools, for example, for the users already built in to exploit the data and to, for example, work with AI/ML frameworks. So more specifically, the data lake, as we said, is a self-standing component, which is built a geographically distributed infrastructure. Today, the infrastructure is already deployed in a central site, and a bridge has been already deployed as well in Finland, in the Lumi HPC site. And soon there will be also a new HPC deployment in Bologna as part of the Leonardo HPC. So these bridges will be, let's say, interfacing with the digital twins and making the data generated by the digital twins to the Destiny users. So the data lake will be offering through a harmonized data access API, access to the different types of data sets from, as we said, from federated data spaces, from data generated by the digital twins to what is called the data warehouse component. It will contain also as well a fresh data pool that will allow, it's like a cache system that is storing the most used data from the different federated data spaces and the different data sources that will be in the data lake. And this is with the principle of offering near data computing, which is called edge computing. So in the sense that it will not be required to download all the data to do the processing, but we pretend to move the processing where the data is collocated. Okay, so this is again how the user will see the system. So through the discovery service, the user will be offered with different data sets in the catalog, which is called the data portfolio, the destination data portfolio, and then additional data services that will allow to do data processing. So what is called in destination big data processing services. From the data services, we will have digital outputs, federated data sets, user-generated data, and the trace data pool, as we have said. And then for the data processing, it will be offered the possibility to use the islet service to deploy network of virtual machines. Also, hosted application services that, for example, Jupyter Hub using the DAS gateway, which would allow to do distributed processing, for example, to develop prototype algorithms, but all this processing where the data is located. And then the hook service that will allow a collection of predefined functions that as well will allow to move the processing where the data is located and perform some functions distributed, also mixing with us to do any type of processing. So here a bit more of detail. So the islet service, what is consisting of. So we will offer this capability of building the user defined network of virtual machines, including GPUs and object storage over a Kubernetes. And then obviously there will be a collection of blueprints at disposition of the user that will in principle facilitate the work and allow the user to select which type of work is planning to do and get off-the-shelf pre-configured collection of virtual machines implementing this. Then in terms of hosted applications, we said we have the Jupyter Hub. Today is already deployed with the DAS gateway already implemented, allowing to do the distributed processing. And then we have a collection of predefined functions that will allow to do this processing near to the data, also provided off the shelf. All this to facilitate the deployment of different processing capabilities, so facilitating this to the user.
2 more minutes.
Okay, so just finishing. So this is the idea that we can combine, obviously, the different services together. So we can combine what would be, as we said, so functions, predefined functions with the DAS gateway, and then do this distributed processing and store the result in the islet service, so in their own deployed virtual machines, and make these results available to the rest of the users. So this is a bit of the summary with the benefits of we already explained. No? So ready to use application functions, processing near to the data, harmonized way to access data in a collaboration environment. And I think with this, I finished the data lake presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jordi. Is there any question from the room to Jordi? There's one question over there. Side. Microphone is coming. Wait a second.
Hi, I would like, it seems like the data lake will have a lot of data inside. You mentioned the federated data spaces, access to these data spaces like the Green Deal data space, I suppose, and similar. What is the technology you are using for finding a particular set of data? Okay, if you know what you are looking like Urban Atlas, okay, I know that it will be there because it's Copernicus. What about the less visual products, like something from Eurostat or a particular set of a layer? How do I find this? What is the technology behind?
So obviously there will be a graphical user interface to access the catalog and browse the catalog, but also there is an API. And for example, Eurostat data will be available through this API that is called the HDA API. And the HDA API will offer seamless capabilities for all types of data to browse the catalog and to access the data and perform downloads or perform these different type of operations. So in principle, the mechanism is through the API, the HDA API.
Thank you. Great, thank you. Then we can come to our next speaker, which will be Diego Fernandez, also online. Diego will speak about the digital twins for the environment of the European Space Agency, a new program I think that will launch soon. So Diego, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, so first, apologize for not being there, but I have to stay at home these days. So I will talk to you about, as you have seen from the previous presentations, ESA is deeply involved in the development of Destiny, but ESA has also a dedicated program on digital twins that is called the Digital Twin Earth ESA program. The program has mainly two components. One is to develop additional capabilities in terms of platform capabilities to somehow complement activities of Destiny, but has another important component that is what I will present it to you today, which is what we call the development of EU-based digital twin components. So where this thing come from? The story is that in the last few years, you know that if you're in this business, this has been a lot of developments in terms of capabilities that Earth observation can bring in order to better characterize the Earth system, different components of the Earth systems with resolutions in space and time that allows to characterize processes that before they were not possible to characterize at global scales with a huge capacity. And that capacity is only expected to increase. The new Sentinels are coming, new Earth Explorers are coming, so there is an increasing observational capacity that makes Earth observation somehow a critical element for the development of digital twins. So we would like to focus on that aspects and try to support the community to develop those aspects. So we, in the program, the thing that we are trying to do is to support the communities, to support different emerging realities all across ESA member states, to develop a set of what we call EU-based digital twin components that may complement and maybe enrich in the future developments carried out in the context of Destiny, but also other emerging European, regional, and national digital twins initiatives, where Earth observation somehow plays an important role. So the DT program will try to develop is a research and development program. So we will move up to what we call a pre-operational level. A number of digital twin components. This can be EU-based replicas of elements of the Earth system associated to applications in different domains, with a strong focus in valorizing the role of novel observation capabilities. This is why ESA is interested. We are a space agency, and our programs try to maximize the impact of Earth observation capacity. So this program is mainly dedicated to that. The development will address different domains. I will tackle that later, but always try to somehow prepare a potential transition from these developments into operational digital twin ecosystem through programs like Destiny or maybe other initiatives in Europe. So a digital twin component should have a number of elements. It has to be integrated in different platforms. I will not focus on the platform aspects today, but it should have at least a strong component focus on what Earth observation can provide, what we call a 4D data-driven reconstruction of the Earth system. So try to provide with Earth observation the best possible reconstruction of the different processes that we are looking at, and then a solid, scientifically sound engine, including different workflows, connected all this data with different type of processes through models, artificial intelligence, maybe simple geophysical model functions or complex models or analytics. We would like to focus on aspects that have a strong community support. That means that have a strong community focus in terms of stakeholders, scientists, policymakers, value-added companies, etc. The budget that we have is quite substantial, but still we would like to focus on those aspects that have a strong community focus. I will talk you a little bit later about that. So a little bit of example. So to prepare the program, we have been working a lot on what we call precursor activities. We have several of them in different domains. I will just show you two of them. This has been something that we have developed together with a team of experts led by the University of Edinburgh. And the challenge here was, okay, we have been developing for the last few years several products trying to reconstruct all these things that you see here, all the processes that characterize, for instance, Antarctica, from the lithosphere to the surface, the interactions with the oceans, the interactions with the atmosphere. So the thing that we were trying to do was putting together a number of data sets that we have been developing, trying to characterize all these different aspects in terms of what this observation can provide, and connect those data with different models, regional climate models, providing information about the atmosphere and the interactions with the surface, ice sheet models, sea ice models, and ocean models, also water routing models below the surface of the ice sheets. All that connected through a platform. And this is more or less what we were trying to develop in this prototype. So the system at the end is just a prototype, but I will try to show you a little bit of the things that we can do today with that, is integrate a number of workflows. And those workflows somehow allows to connect different processes, from processes that happen in the surface to maybe the impacts in the ocean. An example is this theme. We are able to, with Earth observation data and some modeling activities, characterize what can be the subglacial flux of water. Okay, so we can today, with Earth observation, characterize how much water we could have from basalt melting. This water goes to the ocean, and when you have that well characterized, you can perturb that, and you can see what may happen if, for some reason, climate change, we double that basalt dissipation, and we have a higher runoff. So with that higher runoff, we can see how much water will go into the ocean, and then we can connect to an ocean model, and this can tell us how much this will impact, for instance, currents, how much it will impact salinity, how much this may impact even biology. So this is the type of things that we are trying to develop, the type of concept that we are trying to develop. Another interesting aspect has been something that we have done together with IRPI in Italy and CNR. So the logic here is, okay, we have been working for the last years in trying to develop products from Earth observation that characterize hydrological processes at high resolution. So the traditional products that we were dealing with to characterize things like floods and evapotranspiration, precipitation, were of this size. Okay, so you have typical evapotranspiration product, 20-kilometer scale, 2 cores to operate at resolutions compatible with decision making at basic scale. So we have been working a lot to develop products like this that goes at 1 kilometer level or even below, on evaporation, soil moisture, precipitation. So we are now starting to get in a position where we can use this type of high resolution data in hydrological modeling. We are not there yet. There is a lot to be done, but still we have started in this project to put things together and try to, for all the Mediterranean, try to make an analysis of the hydrological cycle at the basic scale, and try to develop a number of what-if scenarios, in this case, for instance, the risk of flood, using, for instance, a kind of analysis of the last 7 years, and using that data, the hydrological modeling, the reconstruction of the hydrological modeling, to better develop tools that may support other modeling activities in better understanding what may happen if you have certain conditions in terms of soil moisture and potential precipitation. So this is where we are in terms of the program. We have started this year. The first thing that we have done was a consultation with the community. we wanted to identify the main priorities to focus the first projects. And then we have done a call for expressions of interest. The call for expressions of interest attracted around 80 teams to provide letters. The objective of the call for expressions of interest was to consult the community to get the recommendations and the main ideas on the main topics to be addressed in the first calls. So we have done a review of all that wealth of information. The objective of the review was not to identify specific themes or specific expressions of interest, but more to identify the main themes to start the first calls for projects. So this is what we have received in terms of thematic areas. So as you can see, it covers a lot of different domains, a very wide spectrum of different applications and different type of system topics. And after the review, we have identified 8 main priorities. The priorities include carbon cycle and terrestrial biosphere, including somehow the connections between land-atmosphere interactions, agriculture, forest, hydrology and the related geohazards, polar aspects, especially the impacts of ice sheets at global scale, at regional and global scale, coastal processes and the related streams, digital oceans and biodiversity. So this will be the first 8 priorities, but also we have received very good ideas concerning other topics, wildfires, transport and infrastructure, yes, geohazards, etc. So the thing that we plan to do is to address all these type of domains. How we plan to do it? So we are preparing an ITT that will go before the end of the year. The logic is to start large activities in the order of 1.5 million to develop 8 parallel projects, focusing the initial 8 priority domains. And then we will have up to 6 projects on the other topics. This will be a smaller size type of demonstration activities, try to prepare maybe for larger projects in the future. The program will be structured into phases. The first phase will end at the end of 24. At the end of 24, we will have an event where all these things have to be presented, and we will identify the next activities to be launched in 25. And with this, I would like just to close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Diego, for this very interesting presentation. Are there any questions regarding this new program from ESA and the call? Doesn't seem to be the case for now. Thanks again, Diego, for
Thank you.
This talk. And then we continue now. This actually has one more talk before you, sorry. There's actually Patrick Knöffel now talking about the simulation of heavy rainfall events by using a digital twin. No problem. Floor is yours, Patrick.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, hello and welcome to my presentation today about the simulation of heavy rainfall events by using a digital twin. I'm standing here representing our head of the Geoservice department, Martin Lenk, who is unfortunately not able to present himself today. And I will do it instead. Yeah, let me start. If it starts, by introducing our project, our digital twin project called Digital Twin Germany. The project started last summer, and we have the ambitious objective to provide an analysis platform for the federal administration as a service by the end of 2026. To create related added value for a variety of societal issues. And we have 3 essential components within our project. We have to establish a technical service platform, which is still in the conception phase. we have to develop a data offer, which will I describe in a few slides. And we have to develop the service together with pilot users. And so we have also to develop pilot use cases. The technical platform, as I said, is in the conception phase. And our main goal here is to enable various users from the federal administration by the end of 2026 to process their own questions, either independently or assisted by us, so that they can build their own applications by the selection from existing models in our modular system, or even develop own models within our twin environment. The data offer of our twin has 3 layers. The base layer is what we call model data. This data is coming from a 3-dimensional model. I will explain it in the next slide. And the center layer is what we call objects of interest. This is more or less the data we already have. We already have access to. We already are hosting at the BKG our national geodata sets, but as well the Earth observation data or the Earth observation products or other products available. And the top layer here is what we call expert knowledge. This is the data where we don't have access to right now easily. This is not in our regular data we host at the BKG. It's lying in silos till now, and only experts have access to it. And together with the data, we would also like to make the knowledge available in order to develop applications that can be solved with geospatial informations. Yeah, the 3D data, therefore we plan to collect a nationwide 3D information using LiDAR technique. The data collection will start next year and will last 2 years till the end of 2025. Our plan is to repeat this every 3 years to have also the possibility to make changes detectable. Before we started with our nationwide collection, we performed a preliminary project in Hamburg metropolitan region. Here we did the specification we would like to have for the nationwide collection. We tested it in an area of about 8,600 square kilometers. We have a point density of about 40 points per square meters, height accuracy of these informations of better than 10 centimeters, and together with the LiDAR, we are collecting aerial images with 22 centimeters ground resolution. Yeah, here a quick view into the data. This is a video of the point cloud, the calorized point cloud for Hamburg City. We have the RGB informations coming from the aerial images, but we also are able to classify the points in the point cloud. We have the vegetation points, which appeared in green. We have the blue points stand for water points, and we have the red points here for buildings. We're also deriving soil informations, and many other objects are possible to derive from this data source. Yeah, and as I said, the third component is the use cases we are planned to develop together with partners. And one illustrative example use case is the modeling of the risk of heavy rainfall, because all 3 different data layers are used in this example. we have the 3D information, the elevation model coming from the 3D informations. We have in the center the existing data about buildings, land cover, vegetation, or what else you need for your model. And we have the expert data, which is the probability of heavy rainfall, and all these together fed in a hydrological model. And in the end, we have what we called advisory maps on the risk of heavy rainfall. This is an ongoing project. The project started already in 2020, and we started by simulating 2 different flooding scenarios. And the results of these scenarios are maps of water levels and maps of low velocities for these 2 scenarios. And these risk zones maps are published in our national geo portal. As I said, the project started 2020 in North Rhine-Westphalia. This is the dark blue federal state on the map. Right now, we are calculating heavy rainfall maps for the light blue federal states. And by the end of 2025, we plan to have these maps for entire Germany. This project had some main challenges, as well as the integrated data management or the integration of precise rain forecasts in the model. It also is an issue of the calculation time for more dynamic prediction, for example, for regional warnings. And here the digital twin comes into play. We have the idea that we use more current informations to do more precise or more accurate predictions. And here we would like to use the terrain informations coming from our 3D data. We would like to integrate more geodata informations, for example, where are the inhabitants living and affected, points of interest and others. And so that in the end, we would be able to have a dynamic tool for flooding simulations, for regional warnings with a simulation hour less than 1 hour. Yeah, and this is planned to be prototyped with our digital twin Germany. So in collaboration with research institutes and environmental authorities, we just started with this idea, and we think the first results will be available next year or the year after. Okay, and my last slide is a kind of an appetizer for my e-poster I have after this session outside. We have already some preliminary results for other pilot use cases. We have a forest use case where we test a national single tree inventory. We have an agricultural use case to identify woody landscape elements, flight obstacles in a security use case, and also a socio-economic use case. So if you're interested, please visit me outside afterwards. And with this, I would like to thank.
Thank you very much. Patrick, are there any questions for Patrick from the room? One quick question from Usman over there.
Hello, dear. Thank you so much for your productive session. Just a question: what type of the extreme rainfall probability data that you have put into your digital twin? This one is, if you can just open the slide, like about the type of the extreme rainfall data that you have used it in your digital twin.
I cannot open any slide, unfortunately, but
in case, Ivan, can you go back to the slide? Yeah. Okay, you can go back.
Okay. So which slide?
Go back about the type of the data. Back. Yes, this one, like about the probability of heavy rainfall. So for this one, we what type of the probabilities, and is it only like the scenarios, or what type of this heavy rainfall probabilities that you have used in it?
This data about the probability of heavy rainfall we receive from our how's it called, weather German weather service, and I don't know. I'm not that deep into these details in this for this probability map.
Yeah.
But
and
this one maybe we can have more discussion later. Sorry for that. Okay, thank you. Then again, to seeing this view into the national digital twins also. Now we have our final presentation here, which will be on the interoperability of digital twins of the ocean with data space and data lakes, presented by Lilia Bai. I hope that was pronounced correctly. And Ivan will bring up your presentation in a second.
So, as you can tell, I was very eager to come here and speak about the digital twin. Yes. Oh, there's something, it looks a little bit strange. Okay. So what I will do is give you an overview of Iliad, Digital Twin of the Ocean project. I will, of course, talk about various aspects and various perspectives on architecture, covering data spaces and data lakes and how we are handling that in Iliad. And again, interoperability within Iliad and with other initiatives. I'm following, I will try to cover the harmonizations and the interoperability of different implementations and challenges in support of sustainability of what we are doing. So I will cover that while I'm presenting. So we have been talking about digital twins now. Here's our definition. I just want to add to what you've seen here that we are not only addressing the what-if scenarios of digital twins. You also have type of situational overview twins, and also some says that having data, the latest data that fits your need is also sort of a twin. But so we have a little bit of a variation of the definition. Interoperable, again, is very important. So our approach in Iliad is that we realize the ocean is very complex and very vast. And it consists of geophysical, biological, and numerous interaction between these components and human activity. And in Europe, and to reflect this complexity in the European digital twin of the ocean, you might have heard about that, EU itself, its members, associated countries like Norway, I come from Norway, and many are contributing to developing a core infrastructure, modeling capacity, and implementations on local and thematic twins. And this ecosystem of twins, I think we've seen this today already, it's and all the components is then what we refer to the digital twin, ocean twin. This is a political statement on a high level, but just to remind us that it's a lot of components and investments on many levels. So the partnership in Iliad, we have 56 partners, so it's a huge green deal, and it's an innovation action, and I will come back to that. And we are aligning the best we can with other initiatives and making interoperability through and throughout. So the key components, to repeat, interoperable digital twins, and we are connecting existing resources, we've seen several, and we are also adding new resources through both, we have sensors, so we are adding new data, but also new applications, including here citizens. In order to make this accessible, available to the rest of the community, the ecosystem, we have a marketplace where you can find not only the digital twins, but also the different components that we make interoperable. I will come back to that. And of course, we are providing solutions to the challenges that we face. So a federated interoperable system is what we are building. And here is just a quick reminder of the pipeline. We collect the data, we prepare the data, we do the analysis, and then we have the visualization, the user interface for the end users. And the similarity you see is the same for digital twins. Here you see the logical architecture of Iliad. And you have the different sources, instrumentation, sensors, etc. We have then the partners who are building twins, collecting and preparing this data, and also adding other open data, but also commercial and restricted data of some sort. So we combine all this. Cataloging this is key in order to make it interoperable. So we have this cataloging of both data and services. And we have data space that we create and use. And then in the end, we have a digital twin that we, and I'm showing here, I think it was already shown, the Edito, which is, Edito is sort of the core, what you can say, the core infrastructure that all of us in Europe can use, well, not only Europe, I think, and how that is linked to what we are using. So I won't go into this, see there are some mistakes here, but the principles of data spaces, one thing I want to highlight is the sovereignty of the data is an important factor. So this is, I just want to highlight that. I'll move fast. What I want you to notice here are three things. The APIs, the yellow dots, that is key to making interoperability within the infrastructure of Iliad. And I want you to notice the data lakes and the data spaces columns. And on the top, you see swirling around different twins. So we are using both data lakes, we are using data lakes, and we are needing data lakes for the solution of the individual twins. We are also using data spaces and creating data spaces and feed into other data spaces. All this will be made, all of these components that we are making interoperable will be put on the Iliad marketplace and then reiterated. We already have examples of reuse of components in one of our twins or several of our twins into another twin. It could be in another thematic twin, so a different domain, or on a different location. Of course, it needs adaptation, but this is the purpose, and this is why, you know, a part of the sustainability strategy to make all of these components available for reuse is a part of a strategy. So here you see there's a number of different thematic areas that we, when you look down and zoom in on what the digital twin is. A digital twin is serving specific needs, and it covers basically all the sectors you can think of. So we have aquaculture and fisheries, we have oil spill, we have renewable energy in different forms. There's a number of different thematic areas. And there are commonalities and there are specificities. Now, as I said, we are using and contributing to the different data spaces. And it needs to be, I think it was a question here, that you need to make these data spaces also interoperable. And here I just added some arrows to show that in a digital twin, we are using several of the thematic data spaces already, and we will contribute to that as well. So here is for each of the digital twins in Iliad, you have the same structure. because we want them to be interoperable and reuse components of it. So it has a system architecture that is compatible with the overall architecture. And you see how the data lakes and the open data and the ocean data space, I will come back to that, are linked, or how that is connected to the individual digital twins. And as we are creating an ocean data space, we are also integrating that with the Green Deal data space. We have, as I said, the Iliad project is a part of the Green Deal. And we found it necessary in order to make an important part of making all of these components interoperable is to have a new information model. So ocean information model was missing, and in Iliad we are developing this. Never mind all the details. You see that it's a thorough work on Iliad cross-domain ontology. And you can see the link, this will be shared, so if you're interested, you can check it out afterwards. So this is one of the components. And here you see also the ocean information model, an overview with the different layers, which is similar to several. I will come back to that. So you have the core, you have the cross-domain, you have the pilot specific, and you see here listed a few of the pilots that we have integrated in here. This is a jellyfish pilot, by the way, that is a citizen science pilot based on citizen science data collected over 10 years. You have a oil spill pilot and you have a water quality pilot, all very different. But there's a similarities in language, but there are also very specific expressions. For instance, for a jellyfish, an important factor there is the distance between where the jellyfish was and the shore, or if it was stinging or not. This is not fitting in a general ocean information model. And what we saw, our ocean information model was built on the agriculture information model, so it's the same structure. And we think that this will be something that can be used also for the Green Deal data spaces. I think we will learn more about that in the coming session. So you see there's a structure that is similar, again, helpful for interoperability and sustainability. And here, something went very wrong. And here you clearly see all the contributions from what it shows, actually, what I can tell you. You have heard the other speakers from Destination Earth, from ESA. There are so many components, and all together we are contributing to the overall goals, political goals. That's what this says. And we are talking about digital twins, and this is also in line with the overall global view of it. So we are contributing to DITO, which is a UN Ocean Science Decade activity. Thank you very much. I was my co-author, Arne Jørgen Berre from SINTEF. He asked me to remind you there's next week or so, there's an event where we can go deeper into this. And if Arne is here, he will share it in the chat, so you can have that.
Great. Thanks a lot for your presentation. Are there any direct questions to Bente now? Yes, Franz.
So thanks for this very nice presentation, very interesting. I was wondering a bit, so we have all these data lakes now. You said you build data space, data lake. I mean, we will discuss it probably also in the next session. I hope you will be there.
Yeah.
But how do you actually build a data space, and how is that linked to the Destination Earth data lake? Wow.
Well, there are certain requirements to build a data space. So it's part of, for individual pilots, you will build a space that is necessary for that pilot. How you will do it, I mean, the details exactly, what do you ask for, which technology we're using? It's APIs, of course, APIs, but I know, I see Joan is here.
You
And
build
the
a lot on
interoperability.
existing infrastructures, basically. Where's the data?
Where? Yeah, it depends on the individual. Again, the individual pilots will determine where to put the data, where they will do the processing, etc. It depends on each of the cases. In some of the cases where you need a lot of processing, for instance, it's naturally to go to Edito, for instance, or other already existing cooperation that they have. And what is, I didn't mention this, but actually we are not only European, we also have Africa and the Middle East. So we are looking at Europe in a more integrated fashion. And for that reason, it might be other resources that that we use.
Thank you very much. Now I would invite all speakers back on the stage. Sorry, Patrick, I didn't remind you, but no one escapes here. So I pushed you all for the time so hard so that we indeed have a little bit of time left for discussion. So we have about 15 minutes now that we can discuss some of the questions that are maybe also relevant for EuroGEO and how the work that we do with all the digital twins fits into this, how maybe EuroGEO can also contribute to this. EuroGEO, as is right now, doesn't have a working group on digital twins, for example. This session we added extra as a new theme, so might also be something to consider if this is a topic that is transversal and relevant enough for EuroGEO and possibly also Geo then in the next step. So maybe a first question to the people who have presented now. What's your thought on this? How do you think that digital twins can fit into EuroGEO? How can it maybe EuroGEO also help to channel all these different developments? Any thoughts on this? Someone who feels to go first. Also the speakers online, of course, Diego and Jordi, you are also invited to comment on this.
Right. So from Destination Earth, I think what is important indeed is that these different initiatives around digital twins come together. And if EuroGEO can closer, all right, I had a huge echo, so that's fine. All right, perfect. So I think what is apparent from the presentations that we had here is that everybody is still sort of building their own platforms, even though we talk a lot about interoperability and so on. Sorry. So I think if EuroGEO can play a role there to bring these initiatives together and create a platform where we can discuss it, then obviously that would be great.
Thanks for that comment. Any additional thoughts? So this first comment was a common platform. Bente, yeah.
Yes, I think that EuroGEO could work for the digital twin space, just as any other coordination work done in GEO. I mean, we need to coordinate to identify sharing of responsibility when that's natural, or when we need to have overlap. That's another thing that we can discuss. And also if there are gaps that we are discussing how to cover those gaps. And I think in EuroGEO, in addition, what EuroGEO is then helping us with is to link closer to each of the nations. So for instance, Germany here and other nations had what they are. I know UK has a large activity, a lot of activity on digital twins. So I think EuroGEO can play a role in coordinating that on that level, in the more, zoomed in level.
Great, thanks for that feedback. I guess this is really important. There's also a raised hand by Jordi, so feel free to comment.
Yes, I think it is this role of, let's say, setting a collaboration or a cooperation between the different platforms from the technological perspective. I mean, there's a lot of things to harmonize, no? Because when we are, I mean, all these digital twins will be generating data that is located somewhere in an infrastructure somewhere. And then from EUMETSAT, we had always the idea that we need to move the processing where the data is. But to do this, we need the technology to be ready. I mean, where the data is placed, the technology around this data needs to be ready to host this. The question we had before, I mean, we are building an HDA, and harmonized data access interface, that will allow to do access to the data, but also provide processing functions. But for this, we need the platforms that are hosting the data to be ready to host this. And then obviously this needs a lot of discussion and harmonization between the different platforms, and it's not an easy task.
Thanks, Jordi, also for that comment. I think an important aspect we also heard is the scale at which we work with the different digital twins, which definitely also creates some challenges with respect to what data we use. I found this also interesting when looking at Patrick's presentation. There were basically completely different data sets that were looking on a national level, different types of resolution, for example, of the observational data, different accuracy requirements, maybe then also on that somehow when we link done from the national level to the international level. On the other, we need to take this into account, of course. This also links to the other issue that we have with generally the information silos, as you said, or you call them also the expert information, which we are not always aware of all the things that are out there in specific domains. So I think there can also be a good role when we have such a platform, as Thomas suggested, where we can start to find these things. Maybe also from the national level, I guess, how do you actually deal with this? Because a digital twin in Germany, for example, cannot be defined just by data from Germany, as you have cross-border effects and things and so on. So generally on the national level, I was also wondering, how do you tackle this challenge? How did you get the information from across the border?
Yeah, it's not only across the borders, it's also within the borders. So we have digital twins from municipalities or federal states, and they are even have more precise information, and we have to aggregate this information in order to gain data that we could use on a national level. And to make sure that across borders that applications can be or informations can be shared, we only could communicate with each other. So we start talking to our neighbors, for example, France, and has a similar LiDAR approach. So maybe we can exchange informations, what we can derive from this data. And it's active communication. Unfortunately, there's no coordination done so far. So that's why I would appreciate a coordination of these initiatives, national initiatives.
Great, thank you for that feedback as well. Another important part of this whole harmonization and also interoperability aspect is standardization. We saw a little bit of this also in Bente's presentation. I think also there's some direction that goes towards the port. So I can imagine that this also might be a point where we can. The microphone is dying. So standardization is definitely an important issue there, and we have also seen. I think this was a very nice to present this also to show when you start setting up a digital twin, really look what's already there. I think that's also one of the risks that we sometimes start a little bit too quick with new things and new developments. Looking into the existing technologies, this existing specification and standard is quite important. There we need to have also very detailed technical discussions. I saw a lot of presentations today, also the other days, which speak about APIs, but just because you have an API, it's not yet interoperability, because there are lots of different APIs which work very differently. So the API is the first chance to even interact with it, let's say, but then probably to make the interaction easier and more interoperable, they also should work the same way, or at least as close as possible. So that's an important aspect. And the other one is on the data catalogs. I think there as well, we should strive to find a common way of describing all the data sets that we have. Maybe there are also some comments from the different digital twins regarding especially those working with different domains. How do we deal with this cataloging of the information, basically? Andrea has a comment there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's true that this is quite important also in our project. And as I mentioned in one of my slides, I think what we are trying to do is to reuse some of the technology that are coming from one domain and trying to adapt it also to the other domains, for instance, the energy physics and the EO domain. For this case, for instance, we are trying to implement Stack, which is kind of one of the de facto standards now for the cataloging also in the technology that has been used, for instance, in the physics part. I would say that if we see our project, the catalog part is more important only for the EO part, not so much important for the digital twins that we have. But I agree that, of course, this is quite important feature that has to be taken into account when building digital twins and the digital twin engine. So this is my take.
Thanks, Andrea. There was also a comment here from the audience.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Ifigenia Keramitsoglu. I'm from the National Observatory of Athens. Thank you very much for the presentations. I just wanted to put a dimension in the discussion that in all the recent calls and also the new projects where there are going to be digital twins developed, there is a requirement to be coordinated according to Destination Earth. So I would like to ask you what exactly this means in practical terms, in terms of communication between the partners who are going to develop it and ESA, ECMWF, and the partners who are in the core of Destination Earth, and also in technical terms. So communication and technical terms, what does this mean? And if maybe EuroGEO working group could play a role in this? Thank you.
Thanks for this question. I think, first of all, it means that Thomas' mailbox is exploding every time there's a new call. No, kidding. Okay, maybe you can comment on that.
So yeah, indeed. So typically the model that we use for that is something similar what we also do with InterTwin and BioDT. That typically we participate in these calls, in these projects, to make sure that there's alignment with Destination Earth. Obviously, all the interfaces I described have well documented and well APIs, and we also try to stick to standards. So, for instance, there was one slide that I couldn't show in the end, where we went through the exercise of implementing yet another standard on top of our standard, because, as you know, a lot of communities have their own standards, right? So one of the challenge that we have is you're going to have to provide multiple standards, right, as a consumption interface. So what you're asking, like, how can you coordinate if you want to apply for these calls? You want to coordinate with Destination Earth, then you can reach out to us and we can sit together and understand how we can write the call so that this aspect is covered.
Okay, thanks very much also for this active discussion and your comments here. We are coming to the end of the session now. Before we close, I would like to give a hand to all the speakers again. So thanks a lot for your nice contributions. And then as we are heading towards the lunch break, also during the lunch break, we will have the digital e-posters. There are actually quite a few that are also directly related to the discussion on digital twins. So I invite you, while having lunch upstairs in the foyer auditorium here, to also visit the 7 different e-posters that we have there on different topics. The one from Patrick, advancements in Germany on digital twin. There's also something on AI-enabled data cubes, geospatial cluster of Canterbury, pairing user needs to current offers of platform for big Earth observation, Aqua Infra interaction platform, Destiny core service platform, and also the one from Bente here. So lots of interesting things there. You can have also more time for detailed discussion and detailed questions regarding the individual speakers. So thanks to all of you again, and have a continued nice workshop here.